Come on and cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over
Good morning everyone and welcome again to this short one. Today we're gonna do a very short one with one article. This one, how to raise children who understand beauty. It appears to be a very good article from Culture Explorer X or at Culture Explorer X. Let's go into it right now. No time to waste. If you don't deliberately teach your child what is beautiful, the world already is. There are 5 forces that will shape their sense of beauty, and you control every one of them. We spend enormous energy trying to raise confident children, disciplined children, successful children. But we rarely ask a quieter and more foundational question. Do our children understand beauty? Beauty is not about having a nice-looking home or cultural hobbies. It determines what your child will admire, pursue, and eventually become. Whatever a child learns to call beautiful will shape their desires, their ambitions, their tolerance, and their moral imagination. Beauty is not an accessory to character, it directs it. Modern culture has narrowed beauty into appearance and consumption. Children absorb this quickly. They learn from screens what bodies should look like, what homes should look like, what success should look like. When beauty is reduced to surfaces, children begin measuring themselves against impossible standards. Anxiety follows, comparison becomes constant, the inner world shrinks. If we want to protect them from that distortion, we must give them a larger, deeper experience of beauty early and consistently. And this does not happen by accident. Beauty must be formed deliberately. And in a child's life, that formation happens through a few repeatable patterns most parents overlook. History shows that societies which endured took aesthetic formation seriously and embedded it into daily life. The first teacher of beauty is ritual. Ritual slows perception. It tells a child that certain moments matter. A weekly family dinner prepared with care. Candles lit before eating. A poem or passage read at the same time each Sunday. a yearly visit to the same sacred place. Repetition forms memory, and memory forms taste. When something is done with intention and consistency, children begin to associate order with meaning. In 17th century England, Puritan households ordered the day around scripture reading and prayer. John Rastrick later recalled how his father led him through regular devotional practices and placed serious books in his hands as gifts. The point was habituation. Time itself felt structured and purposeful. Similarly, in Jewish homes across centuries, the Friday night Shabbat meal has followed a precise order. Candles are lit, blessings are spoken in a fixed sequence. Bread is broken with intention. Children watch this week after week until reverence for sacred time becomes instinctive rather than imposed. In Islamic societies, the call to prayer punctuates the day with regularity. A child raised within that rhythm internalizes the idea that time bends towards something higher than appetite. Ritual teaches that not all moments are equal. Some deserve stillness, attention, and care. That hierarchy is aesthetic training at its most fundamental level. The second teacher is the visible presence of books. A house without books silently teaches that ideas are disposable. A house with books teaches continuity. When children see poetry, scripture, history, and art physically present in their environment, they learn that language carries weight. Reading aloud strengthens this. Okay, I'm good here. Strong sentences train the ear to recognize proportion. Stories cultivate imagination beyond the immediate. Abraham Lincoln's childhood home contained very few possessions, yet among them were the Bible, Aesop's Fables, and Pilgrim's Progress. He read them repeatedly. When he later delivered the Gettysburg Address, the cadence of his speech carried the structure of biblical language. The rhythms that shaped a nation were formed in a frontier cabin. Frederick Douglass learned to read in secret and later described literacy as the gateway to moral awakening. Language gave him proportion and perspective. C.S. Lewis famously wrote that reading George MacDonald baptized his imagination. Before he arrived at theological conviction, he had already encountered beauty in story. Homes with books do more than cultivate literacy. They train sensitivity to language, narrative, and proportion. A child who grows up hearing elevated speech develops an ear that instinctively recognizes when language becomes crude or manipulative. That recognition is a form of aesthetic defense. Wow! Aesthetic defense. Fantastic concept. The third teacher is exposure to sacred and beautiful spaces. Children must experience scale. A cathedral ceiling, the geometry of a mosque, the stillness of a monastery courtyard, the silence of a mountain ridge. Beauty in architecture and landscape works on a child before explanation ever does. It builds reverence without instruction. It teaches that not everything exists for utility or profit. When a child stands quietly inside a space built for worship or contemplation, they internalize that some spaces demand respect rather than consumption. Johann Sebastian Bach walked miles as a young boy to hear master organists perform in different churches. Those encounters shaped his imagination long before he composed anything of enduring value. In Renaissance Florence, children grew up beneath Brunelleschi's dome and alongside Ghiberti's bronze doors. Architecture was not an occasional museum experience, it was the environment of daily life. Even in 19th century America, Frederick Law Olmsted designed Central Park with the conviction that exposure to nature beauty elevated public character. He believed that landscape could calm social tension and refine perception. Sacred spaces recalibrate the senses. What a beautiful text! I'm recalibrating my senses right now reading this article. The fourth teacher is memorization. Modern education often rejects memorization as mechanical, but memorization builds interior structure. When a child memorizes a poem, a prayer, a psalm, or a passage of elevated language, it becomes part of their internal landscape. Beauty is no longer external. It lives within them. That inner reservoir shapes how they speak, how they think, how they judge what they encounter later in life. For centuries, Jewish children memorized Torah, Muslim children memorized Quranic passages, and Christian children memorized psalms and catechisms. The practice was not mere intellectual exercise. It built interior structure, language. Once memorized, becomes part of the mind's architecture. Winston Churchill memorized large portions of poetry in his youth. During the Second World War, the rhythms of that internalized language helped him steady a nation. Beauty carried in memory becomes available in crisis. It anchors emotion when circumstances destabilize it. The fifth teacher is music. Let's listen a little bit of music then. Music orders emotion, choral harmony, classical compositions, disciplined traditional music. These forms train patience, tension, and resolution. They teach that beauty unfolds over time. In a world addicted to instant gratification, exposure to structured music teaches waiting, listening, and coherence. The Vienna Boys Choir has trained children in disciplined harmony for over 5 centuries. Boys learn to sustain their note while listening carefully to others. Harmony precedes ego. In West African traditions, communal drumming integrates children into rhythm before they fully grasp its theory. timing, restraint, and attentiveness are learned through participation. In 19th century Europe, piano instruction was considered part of a cultural literacy rather than a luxury hobby. Hours of patient practice cultivated discipline and emotional regulation. Music orders feeling long before philosophy can explain why. Taken together, these historical examples reveal a consistent pattern. Civilizations that cared about endurance structured beauty into time, space, language, and sound. Children absorbed it through immersion rather than lectures. The formation was gradual but decisive. By contrast, when aesthetic education collapses into trend and spectacle, standards weaken. None of this requires elitism, it requires intentionality. Children do not need lectures on aesthetics. They need immersion. They need time to dwell. They need adults who treat beauty as real rather than optional. If we fail to guide their aesthetic formation, the market will do it for us. Advertising will define beauty as thinness, novelty, speed, and shine. Algorithms will define it as what attracts attention fastest. That is a fragile foundation for us all. A civilization survives when it passes on what it admires. If admiration collapses into consumption, depth disappears. But if children grow up surrounded by ordered rituals, serious books, sacred spaces, memorized language, and structured music, they develop an instinct for proportion and dignity. And that instinct becomes protection. Because when they encounter ugliness disguised as glamour, they will feel the dissonance. When they encounter integrity, restraint, and harmony, they will recognize it. Raising children who understand beauty is not about producing artists. It is about raising adults who instinctively know what is worth protecting. That formation begins at home. We cannot preserve a civilization if we do not understand what formed it. If you want serious writing on beauty, tradition, and the architecture of culture, join the Culture Explorer newsletter by clicking on the website. Okay, now we are already in a Culture Explorer. Thank you very much, sir or lady. Sir, I think it's a dude. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Maybe it's a team. So, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Have a nice one. See you the next one. Goodbye.
Come on and cry.